How do you make impossible decisions? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. Today I wanted to talk about this because it occurred to me that there's this political debate that's on a lot of people's minds right now. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, so take it easy. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away. And now her seat is open. The discussion was made pretty quickly of what's going to happen next. President Trump came out and said, I'm going to replace her right away before the election. And the U.S. Senate, which has to go along with it, said, yeah, we're going to do that. So a lot of people going back and forth, this is a horrible decision. This is the best decision. This is the only way. This is unconstitutional. A lot of back and forth. But what I want you to do is put yourself in a position of the president. Honestly, any president. I'm not just talking about today's president. I'm saying if you were in a similar situation with your party in control, with a chance of losing the presidency, you're going for re-election, what do you do? So that brings me to my point. How does this tie back to your business? Because we talk about business issues here and things that when you're looking to stand out and get your ideas out there, whether it's a business, whether it's a cause, what have you, we all get to this point where we have these almost impossible decisions. Maybe that's not a tough decision for you, but you have them. You get to a point where it's like, I don't know what to do. How do you handle that when you're in that type of scenario? I'll give you how I do it. And as soon as I learned how to do this, it took away a lot of the doubt and the paralyzing effects of indecision away. Once I realized, I came to the realization, I'd heard some people say this, started practicing it, and as soon as I started noticing it and started seeing it throughout the world, that there's a rule. And here's the rule. It's the rule. You don't hear many people talk about this, but I believe it to be true. I believe you can't make a real hardcore mistake if you're unemotional. Because if you're unemotional, there's no pressure that's coming from the outside in. Because a lot of emotions come that way. It's that whole concept of fight or flight that they talk about with animals, to where they get in a scenario and the only options they have is to either fight it out, come at you. They talk about the mouse being cornered or whatever. They either fight it out and come at you, or they cower and give in and fall apart or whatever. But it's one or the other. It's hate or fear. It's give in or fight it out. And those aren't always, most of the time they're not the best options. And if you're getting to a point where those are your options, then you're already in trouble. But if you're in a typical scenario, most of the time that's where our minds go. If we get emotional, our minds go, oh no, either I got to do this or this. And we get these binary choices in our heads. It's either this way or it's that way. And there's no other way. But as soon as you calm down and you just take it easy, sometimes the best way is not to make an initial decision. If you can help it, if it's not a time sensitive scenario, then you just wait it out and see what happens. If it's not clear, obviously a lot of decisions are they're clear. You know exactly what to do, exactly what the right thing is. But in some cases, you don't know what the right thing is, and you just kind of have to wait until it becomes clear. And that waiting takes being unemotional. It takes it, not that you don't have emotions running through you, but that you're separate from them. That you just kind of step away from it and just wait for all that to calm down, so that you're not reacting to a scenario. that you're making a proper decision. Every time I've done that about the most important decisions in my life, about those decisions that when I came up against them seemed absolutely impossible to make the right decision, they worked out. And they worked out good, really big, not necessarily right away, but over a lifetime you see one thing after another where if I would have taken something the wrong way, it would have been disaster. And I think if you look over your life, you'll see a similar pattern. And I think if we talk about these things more, that we can get to a situation. I keep stuttering on these words tonight. You get to a situation where I think we can all become a whole lot better at how we handle ourselves. And I think that fixes a whole lot of things. All the political strife and stuff, people just biting each other's heads off. So much of it comes down to people being felt like they're caught in an impossible situation and they have to fight it out, or they have to give in or cower. And those aren't good choices. Hopefully you can see that, and hopefully you can see how it's affected you and your business up until this point. Leave a comment down below. Tell me if I'm full of it. Okay, let me know what you think. I've got a whole bunch of other tips. The 9 ways to 9 ways to Amazon-proof your business is my new book. You can get a free copy at AmazonProofBook.com. If you're wanting to learn more about things that you can really use to explode your business, that's a great starting point. It's not the end all. It's a thin little book. It's thin. It's a tiny little book. It's a nice hardcover book, and it just kind of gets you started on some of these ideas. And I got a whole bunch of tips on where you can go from there. But if you're interested, go get yourself a free copy, AmazonProofBook.com. I'll be back here tomorrow night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.